The Dodgers come back late and walk it off. Ryan Pepio has another solid outing. Brusdar Graterol gave us a heartwarming moment, and he's actually been pitching very well lately. That's what's on tap, so let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And if you never want to miss a day, you can subscribe wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube and become an everydayer by listening every single day. If this is your first time listening or watching, I'm Vince Samperio, usually joined by co-host Jeff Snider, but it's just me today. We're both lifelong Dodger fans that have spent time covering the team. We watch the team on a daily basis. We've been in the press box, been in the locker room. We have talked to players and we have talked to fans like you guys. So we're here to bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. And that's what I'm here to do today. The Dodgers won last night, taking game 2 of the series against the Tigers. It was not similar to game 1 where the Dodgers kind of had it in the bag the entire game. This one, the Dodgers were down 2-1 heading into the 8th inning. They end up tying the game in the 8th inning thanks to David Peralta double down the line, and then they ended up winning in the bottom of the 9th on a Max Muncy walk-off single. Yeah, I mean, offensively, it's not much to write home about in terms of, the Dodgers. Well, I guess not much to write home about in terms of results. They only scored 3 runs, but they did have 11 hits. They did make a lot of hard contact. It started to get a little cooler at Dodger Stadium. I'm not sure if I can't say for sure that the marine layer was back. But the Dodgers definitely did hit some baseballs that might have gone out on a warmer night than last night. But either way, the Dodgers got the win. And I think this win, again, this is all with the caveat that they're playing the Tigers, who aren't very good. And even some of the relievers they brought in, I had never heard of. They might be good. Some of their numbers were decent. But, you go to that 8th inning and it's 2 outs. JD Martinez bloops a single into right center field or right over the second baseman's head. Chris Taylor comes in to pinch run and immediately steals second base, which was necessary because David Peralta's hit down the left field line ended up bouncing out into the stands, which means it would have been a ground rule double, which means if Taylor hadn't stolen that base, he would have been on third base instead of scoring. And, the game might change right there. So it was one of those things, like when I'm watching the game, I'm like, oh man, like that's a playoff run right there. Like you get 2 outs and you turn it in, you turn a bloop single into a run that ties the game. Again, with the caveat that it is the Tigers and, they're probably going to face better relievers in October. But again, putting the ball in play, the 2 hits, JD Martinez hit 75 miles an hour exit velocity, David Peralta's double 75-mile exit velocity, and then James Outman ends up hitting 108 and it's a ground out to second baseman. So, it's just, that's how baseball goes. But it was good to see the Dodgers get the run that way, especially a stolen base immediately paying off because the Dodgers, they steal more than they have in the past, but they're still not a team that, I wish they would steal more. But I understand why they probably don't. But just, you see everyone in the league kind of running wild, and it would be nice to see the Dodgers run a little bit more. And maybe they plan to do that in the postseason, or maybe they'll, depending who the team they play and if they're good at holding runner, whatever the case, maybe we'll see what happens. But offensively, that's kind of where we lived. And then the bottom of the ninth, you had the number 9 spot, which was Miguel Rojas at the time, and then you had top of the order. So you kind of figured, okay, this is the Dodgers' shot to win it right here before things kind of even up in extra innings. And Colton Wong pinch hits, doesn't get it, and then then Mookie gets on base, and Freddie gets on base, and then Mookie gets on base, Freddie gets on base. I'm trying to remember how that ninth went. Yeah, Mookie singles. Oh no, Freddie lined out. Mookie singles, Freddie lines out. Will Smith gets hit by the pitch, and then Max Muncy singles. And it was not a close play at the plate, but it was a closer play than maybe we would have liked to see. Mookie slides in and the Dodgers win. So a good solid win. Not much offensively going, but they did what they needed to do, and yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. But offensively, like I said, 11 hits. The Dodgers were putting the ball in play, were making hard contact. It just didn't work out in their favor in terms of results, but they ended up getting the results in the end. A good sign, Mookie Betts had 3 hits. Freddie Freeman had a couple hits. JD Martinez had a couple hits. So, good to see on that end. David Peralta had came up and hit the ball hard 2 of his first 3 at-bats, had nothing to show for it, and then gets that 75-mile-an-hour double that it ties the game. So sometimes things come back to you. The Dodgers were putting the ball in play. Like I said, they only struck out 4 times. So it was one of those days. It just didn't work out for them in terms of getting ultimate production, but they still were able to get the production they needed. Freddie Freeman hit a double. He's now 56 doubles, 4 doubles away from 60. Would be the first player since the 1930s. I forget the exact year, but since the 1930s to not 60 doubles. So we're continuing to be on the watch for that. On the pitching side, we're going to talk about Ryan Pepio. We're going to talk about Brusdar Graterol. But you got Caleb Ferguson was the opener. He gave up a home run to Spencer Torkelson. Not ideal. Struck out the side besides that, but would like to see that without the home run. And then Alex Vesia threw a clean top of the ninth to get the Dodgers the chance to win it in the bottom of the ninth. So all in all, just a clean game that went the Dodgers' way. Probably more has to do with the fact that it was the Tigers, but again, you can only play who's in front of you, and that's how the Dodgers did. So we're going to talk about Ryan Pepio and his outing, and kind of now where we see him in the October plans. So that's what's on tap. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Check out the Sleeper app today, and you can win 100 times your cash on daily fantasy baseball. The playoffs are on the corner. So you got, regular season, you want to get to yourself some extra cash for the Dodgers postseason run that's about to happen, then you need to go check out the Sleeper app because you can pick more or less on stats for, guys like Mookie Betts, guys like Freddie Freeman, guys like JD Martinez, pitchers like Ryan Pepio, and you can home runs, hits, strikeouts, and more. Pick more or less on these stats. You can pick multiple players, multiple stats, and you can get up to 100 times payout on the Sleeper app right now. So go check out the Sleeper app. It's like I said, it's super easy to use. All you do is pick the player, pick the stat, and pick over under of the entry or of the number that's given, and then put down the money you would like to place on it, and you could win big money. So go check out the Sleeper app right now. And if you use the promo code Locked On, you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Go check out Sleeper, use the promo code Locked On, and get a $100 match on your first deposit. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. Make sure to check us out wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. I'm coming every day or by listening every day. SiriusXM or the SXM app can help you listen to any Dodger game you can't watch by providing you the home broadcast for any game. All you got to do is get SiriusXM or the SXM app and search Dodgers for the home broadcast of any game. All right, so as I said earlier, Caleb Ferguson got the start. Was the opener. Did give up the one run, struck out the side, and then we got Ryan Pepio in, and Ryan Pepio ended up going 6 innings for the Dodgers, allowing just 1 run on 5 hits and 1 walk. Did strike out 4, and the 1 run came via a home run from Parker Meadows. Which was on a misplaced fastball essentially down the middle, a little bit lower velocity than he had the rest of the night. So just a mistake pitch there that got taken out. But, Ryan Pepio has been good for the Dodgers, or really good for the Dodgers, since coming back up after being out most of the year with that oblique injury. He's now thrown 33 innings. In those 33 innings, he's allowed 7 earned runs. He's struck out 26. He has a whip of .70 and an ERA of 1.91. All very good numbers, all, encouraging numbers in terms of what we want to see out of Ryan Pepio, and all numbers that have kind of led us and fans and maybe the Dodgers as well, as to trusting Ryan Pepio to get some innings in October, because as we've seen, that there's not as many arms that not as many arms you trust right now with the Dodgers in terms of giving you solid innings in October. And I think that Ryan Pepio is probably, one of the better bets right now in terms of which Dodgers are going to give you the best results. And, you kind of look at Ryan Pepio this year and last year, and he's pitched around the same. Last year he had pitched 36 innings, this year 33. Last year he was striking out guys a little bit more. He had 42 strikeouts in 36 innings. This year he has 26 and 33. But last year he walked 27 batters in 36 innings. This year he's walked 3 batters in 33 innings. So that's a huge, huge, huge difference. And it's kind of showed, he's allowed seven runs in 33 innings, and last year he'd given up 14 runs in 36 innings. Big difference there. So while the strikeouts haven't quite added up like they did last year, the walk is just such a stagnant difference that, it's pretty incredible to see. And for Pepio, I was, interested to see if there's anything different from last year. Obviously, it's kind of hard to tell just based on the smaller sample size. He had a small sample size last year, small sample size this year. And, there might not be too much to draw from it. And there hasn't been a huge change between this year and last year. He's throwing the fastball a little bit less and throwing the changeup and slider a little bit more, but nothing significant to be like he has a whole, change in the way he goes about his business. I think it's just a matter of, hey, the changeup is working this year, where it wasn't necessarily working last year. Changeup working this year, so let's throw it a little bit more. That slider, wasn't maybe comfortable with it last year, but now a little bit more comfortable with it this year. And last night he threw it 18%. His last 2 starts have been, getting the slider back. 21%. His or not start, poke, whatever. It's a start. If he doesn't start the game, it's still a start. Not technically, but the way I see it. Last time he was throwing the slider 21% of the time. This time he threw a slider 18% of the time. So he's starting to get that slider usage up. Probably wants it to be in the 20% area if things are going well. And you look at, we always talk swings and misses here because we want to see, he did have a few strikeouts, but it's more about, you getting swing and misses, and he had that last night, especially on mostly on the fastball. He had 12 swings and misses last night in 6 innings. 8 of those came on the fastball. 8 of his 21 swings on fastballs were swings and misses. He only got 1 swing and miss on the changeup, and then he got 3 swings and misses on the slider, 3 out of 9. So, he hadn't really gotten the swing and the miss on the slider before. So that was good to see. Again, and I shouldn't have to say this, but this is all the caveat of, yes, I know it's the Tigers. Yes, I know they're not that good. Yes, I know they're line up past some guys we probably never heard of before this series. But again, you can only pitch to who's in front of you. And I think, as I talked about, the biggest difference with him is throwing strikes, because 27 walks to 3 walks, huge difference. So shout out to Ryan Pepio for that. He ran into trouble in the 7th inning. He got first and third, nobody out, and then was gifted a safety squeeze bunt right back to him. They ended up getting the out at home, and then he gets out of the inning with a couple more outs. And someone had said, I don't think he gets out of that if it wasn't Tigers, but whatever. And that, while that may be true, I do think if this was a playoff situation, that one, I don't know if they let Pepio go 6. Do they let him go that extra inning when he's already given them 5 and they had the opener? So they're through 6 innings with 2 of those with 2 pitchers. You only need 3 more innings. You get your best arms in there and you go win the game, especially in the game that they were down 2-1 in. So I don't think they let him throw that. But again, this is the time right now where they're letting guys kind of figure it out. And, that inning could have went horribly and could have ruined the rest of his outing. He could have given up another base hit or a couple base hits, and then, it ended up being 2 runs. The Dodgers down 4-1. Pepio's now giving up 3 runs in 5+ innings because he probably wouldn't have made it through the inning. And you feel a lot different. But again, they're pushing these guys to kind of see what they can do when, if needed. And they've done it with Bobby Miller a few times, and now they've done it, with Pepio. And, I'm sure they might do it a couple more times with some of these younger guys over the course of the next few weeks or 2 weeks. And that's what you got to do, because again, even if you don't need it, even if this was a playoff game, Ryan Pepio wouldn't even have come out for the 7th inning. But what if you do need him? What if you're in game, 5, 6, 7 of a 7-game series, and you don't have all your bullpen arms fresh and ready to go, and Ryan Pepio is probably your freshest arm at the moment, and you're gonna try to roll the dice, and they want to see what it is, and to get out of first and third, I don't care what team it is, to get out of first and third with nobody out is a good accomplishment. It was obviously made much easier by the fact that the bunt was right back to him and they were able to get that at home very easily. But that's how that team decided to play it. And teams might decide to play it that way in October or, in the future. And you can't do anything about the other side. You can only control your side. And that's what Ryan Pepio did. He controlled his side. He got the outs, and, he ends up looking like a very good outing with the six innings and the 1 run allowed. So shout out to Ryan Pepio. It doesn't appear that he'll be a starter in October, but I do think he'll be a bulk guy in one of the games, just the way he's been throwing, the way they've been using him, and the way he's looked. I can't say that I disagree with that. So Brusdar Graterol it was a seemingly harmless 8th inning last night, but it was much, much more than that. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about him in general as he's on a little roll right now in terms of pitching without allowing runs. So that's what's on tap. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. We 2020, we were caught red-handed in terms of not being prepared, or at least some of us were. And now maybe we're weary a little bit more of being prepared, as signaled by the alleged hurricane that was supposed to happen a few weeks ago, and the grocery stores were packed with people buying supplies just in case it was actually a hurricane. Well, that's what the Jace Medical is here to help out with, but not in terms of toilet paper, not in terms of water or food, but in terms of life-saving antibiotics, because their Jace case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. And what do you need to do to get all these life-saving antibiotics? Well, not much. All you got to do is go online and fill out a simple online form. And in some cases, you might have to jump on a call with a board certified physician. They'll approve you, they'll get you your Jace case, and you'll be prepared for anything in terms of what you need in an emergency, and when it comes to antibiotics and medicine and everything like that. And don't worry about if you're worried about this, you're worried about that in terms of I don't know what to do or how I'm feeling this way. With Jace Medical, you get ongoing care from their physicians on any treatment related questions, because this program was doctor created and is doctor recommended. So don't be caught unprepared. Go sign up right now and get your Jace case and be ready for anything. So go right now to jacemedical.com and you can get $20 off by using our code locked on. You're going to save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical. And of course, right now, like I said, Locked On can get the promo code Locked On can get you an additional $20 off at jacemedical.com. Go get your Jace case today. That's jacemedical.com, JASE medical.com. If you are already an everydayer, someone who listens every day, we appreciate you. If you're not, make sure to start listening every day and becoming an everydayer. We're heading into the best / most stressful time of the year in October, and you should be with us sharing that stress and sharing your thoughts. If you have thoughts to share today, you can share them on YouTube comments, or you can share them via social media or via email. We'll give you all that stuff at the end. And remember, SiriusXM or the SXM app, search Dodgers to get the home broadcast for any Dodger game. If you can't watch, you can listen with SiriusXM and the SXM app. All right, so last night, Brusdar Graterol pitched the 8th inning, and initially it seemed like any normal Brusdar Graterol appearance in the 8th inning, but we learned. Well, I was at the game in the press box, so I wasn't privy to this info instantly, like some of you watching on TV. But we learned that Brusdar Graterol's mother was in attendance, and it was the first time she'd seen him pitch as a professional baseball player. Which, Graterol's been in the league a few years now and been in the minors a couple years before that. So you're like, oh, maybe whatever the case. Brusdar Graterol hadn't seen his mom in 7 years before. I don't know if the first time he saw her was yesterday or Monday night, whatever it was. But yeah, 7 years since they had seen each other. The first time she'd seen him pitch professionally, Brusdar throws a 1-2-3 inning. He does his normal, little salute to his brother, and you see him put his head in his glove, and you see him point up to the suites area, and it was his mom looking back at him, blowing him kisses. And Dave Roberts stops him, giving him a big hug. You can tell Brusdar is letting his emotions out, and Dave Roberts gives him a hug, points up to where his mom's at. They share a big smile, and instantly went viral online. Everyone was the Dodgers obviously posted the video. Everyone started posting the video. Graterol talked about it after the game. Graterol got to be in the interview room and talk about it. His mom even gave some quotes, and it was just a heartwarming moment, something that you don't really think about. That we see a lot of people make their debuts or make everything else, and usually their family's there, and the broadcast will talk to them and everything else. But with Graterol, he wasn't signed initially by the Dodgers. They got him in a trade, so we might have not known his full story from the beginning. And then it had, you don't think about it because it's not something that gets brought up. But for someone to not see their parents for 7 years when they're having the success and going through, he just had a kid recently, he got married, in the last few years, going through all these things without your mom, when clearly your mom's a big part of your life is tough. And, you don't think about that, especially when it comes to, international players. And, it's not always as easy as just coming over or getting a visa or whatever the case. Sometimes there's a lot of red tape and paperwork and things to kind of figure out. And, I'm sure, I would imagine there's a reason Graterol hasn't gone back home in order to at least sit here in the off season. So, we don't know the full story, but it was, you know, it got things a little dusty last night for at Dodger Stadium or at home, wherever you were watching. And it was just a great moment in a year of great moments for the Dodgers. But this one, probably stands out a little bit more. But beyond the heartwarming moment and everything else and all that is, Brusdar Graterol is on a streak right now. He's thrown 21 consecutive innings without allowing a run. And, me initially was like, okay, well, he's a reliever. I want to say I remember him allowing runs. They probably weren't his runs. So let's look at that. So the streak goes back to July. The last time he allowed a run was July 24th. And since then, from July 25th to last night, he's made 20 appearances for 21 innings and a 0 ERA. His FIP is 2.88. So, even if he was pitching to that, it would still be a very, very good ERA for a reliever. Batters are hitting 169 against him. He's got an OPS against a 403. He doesn't quite have the strikeouts still, only 13 strikeouts in those 21 innings. But, I looked at inherited runners and inherited runners allowed, scored. And in those 20 appearances, he's had 6 inherited runners and 3 of them have scored. So obviously 50% inherited runner scores is not ideal for a reliever, but in such a small, 3 out of 6, especially if he was brought in, I want to say at least one of those times he was probably brought in a bases loaded, no out or 1 out situation, or runner in scoring position, no out, 1 out situation. And for someone, this is the issue we have with him a little bit is for someone that doesn't get strikeouts, it's very easy for a bloop single to bring in a run or whatever the case is. But regardless of all that, you can only worry about that so much and worry about the results. And Brusdar Graterol is getting results right now, and it's good. He's given up in those 21 innings, given up 12 hits. He's walked 5. So you got the whip under 1. And would we like more strikeouts? Yeah, of course. But again, he limits hard contact. He gets outs. If he does run into a little bit of trouble, he's gotten 4 double plays in those 20 appearances. So he's able to get himself out of it. And now, at least for me specifically, this time of year in October is when I not trust Graterol more, but when I feel more comfortable with Graterol, because he's shown the last few years that no matter what happens the first few months of the season, when it comes down to it, he's been pretty good for the Dodgers when they needed him in October and late September if they're in a playoff push. So shout out to Brusdar Graterol. Shout out to his mom. He said she's sticking around for at least the end of the season and hopefully a World Series celebration. And I hope that too, Brusdar. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. Make sure to find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to tell your friends and family and become an everydayer because everydayers are just a little bit better. If you want to listen to the home broadcast for any game, all you got to do is get SiriusXM or the SXM app and search Dodgers, and you can listen to the home broadcast for any game. Remember, you can find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at Snider. I'm at Vincent's91. You can DM either one of us if you have a question, comment, or concern. You can also comment on YouTube if you have a question or a comment right now. You can always send us an email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail. Send us a text at 323-863-LOCK5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, text my device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.